So now I want to talk about how we make bilingual homeschooling a lifestyle. So I told you how we run our days, how we run our weeks, and what we are really trying to do when it comes to being bilingual is make it a lifestyle and not just a compartmentalized time of the day. So we will do things, like I said, sprinkling in some Spanish throughout the day or having some set Spanish activities when it comes to things like reading or handwriting. But then how do we make that a lifestyle throughout the day without it being forced, but seamlessly integrating into our day? So things like when we're out and about, or we're just having conversation or doing different things, I will speak to my kids in Spanish. And sometimes they'll respond in English and sometimes they'll respond in Spanish. But I have made it a rule that if you want to ask me a question, you ask me in Spanish, because you're obviously looking for an answer and I'm not going to give you that answer unless you ask me in Spanish. So that's been something that has helped us when it comes just to make sure that they're at least using their Spanish during the day. And sometimes, I'll make rules like, hey, now in the car, we're just going to speak in Spanish until we get to this destination, and take advantage of intentional time like car time. So, we might do things like cooking, like, hey, we're going to cook, and let's make it a challenge that when we cook, we can't use any English words, we can only use Spanish. And fun challenges like that, my kids love, and my husband's getting in on it, so that makes it even more fun. So, things like following directions in Spanish, and, saying, hey, with mom, you only speak to her in Spanish when it's just the three of us. And sometimes we're great at it and sometimes we're not. And that's okay. That's okay, because it's going to be in there. It's going to be in there, and one day they'll be able to refer back to it. So, just want to encourage you with that. And things like TV time. We've had, some shows where we watch only in Spanish with the Spanish subtitles, and music, making sure that we listen to some music in Spanish and talking about what the words mean. Basic life skills. I mentioned the manual that we have, and we use that for basic life skills and adulting. And I have a Spanish manual and I have an English manual, so that we're using it in both languages. And like I mentioned, the important thing is that your kids feel comfortable to be able to come to you in any language that they want, but to also make sure that you are able to incorporate the minority language as part of your day and make it as natural as possible. So one of the things that we did do and that we made sure of was we waited to join a homeschool co-op until I knew that my kids had a mastery of Spanish, because I know for me, when I went to school, it was an English-speaking school, I lost a lot of my Spanish for various reasons. So that's why it was always important for me to make sure that the girls had a mastery of Spanish before I put them in any sort of school setting. So for us, we are part of a co-op, and we do sports and activities, and because we live in the United States, those are going to be in English, and that's okay. I mean, that's part of growing up in a bilingual family, in a bilingual setting. It's that you want to use both languages. So that's why we are intentional too with the rest of our day. Like at the dinner table, I may say, okay, we're going to answer, I have a question in Spanish, and we're going to all go around the room and answer it in Spanish. I might do that every once in a while. Or I might say, hey, this is the new word of the day, and it'll be a word in Spanish, and everybody has to go around and try to incorporate it into a sentence and try to make it into like a fun game. Let's see, rewards. Rewards is a big one, especially with kids when it comes to using another language, and you can be creative with that, but we all like to be rewarded for our hard work and our effort. And you can have like a chart if you want, or something, so that our kids feel like they were rewarded for working hard, just like they do when they're at school or when they are at a job and they get a raise. So we make sure to do that. And then I'm also very intentional to seek out Spanish speakers in our community. I know it depends on where you live in your country, but I know that we try to intentionally seek them out. So whether that's me hosting a play date or hosting like an empanada class for their friends, we want them to also show their friends, hey, it's cool to speak another language, you know? And so sometimes they'll want to join in and want to learn another language. And my girls love that. They love being part of teaching their friends another language. So if you maybe don't have opportunities in your area, you create them so that you can have an environment of Spanish speakers that you're surrounded by.